At our next session, we'll be talking about utilizing the right technology across multiple channels. We have Cheng from Ada, who is dialing in live from Singapore. And having spent almost 8 years previously in the DD Group Singapore, YC leads Ada's MarTech consultancy teams, helping clients reach business potential and ambition through data consultancy by optimizing conversion funnel to grow customer lifetime value and maximizing returns on brands' MarTech investment. Since January 2021, YC is also an adjunct lecturer at the Nanyang Technology University of Singapore in digital marketing transformation. YC is currently the regional head of consulting marketing technology at Ada, and we are absolutely very honored to have Ada as the tech tutor sponsor of the Marcom Tech Conference. And if you have any questions for YC, please do post it in the chat box or in the comment section. Please don't be shy. We are very, very happy to address your questions. And we will be addressing them with Cheng at the end of his presentation. So YC will be live shortly, so stay tuned and perk up. Bye.
Hi everyone. Welcome to this session. We're talking about utilizing the right technology across multiple channels. My name is YC and I'm from ADA Asia. I'm the head of consulting of the marketing technology practice. I'm going to start next to go into what ADA does actually. ADA is the largest outcome-based data and AI company in the region. We are across 10 countries with about 1,000 of us. We deliver everything from marketing solutions to MarTech to actually data. Some of the clients that we work for across the region, you see everything from financial services all the way to retail to even NGOs. In short, what do? We actually do everything from customer analytics to digital marketing to marketing technology to customer engagement and e-commerce enablement. Yesterday, my colleague Chin has talked about how to use data to actually drive a very good experience. And today, I'm going to talk about how to activate those data and bring them to life using marketing technology. Now, to many of the consumer, there is no multiple channels. They only see you as one brand and one experience. And how do we actually achieve that with technology? How do we know which technology to choose, to utilize, to be able to deliver the experience for the customer? I always think that it's almost looking for the lifetime partner of your life. It's finding the right one. How do you find the right one, the right technology for your entire marketing endeavor? How do you actually find the right one to be able to deliver the seamless experience? So in this session, I'm going to share a little bit more on the tips and tricks and how to decomposite all the different MarTech terms out there and be able to then choose the right one. I have a rule of thumb. There are 3 things that we look out for. The first one is the right experience. How do you deliver that right experience to your customer? Number 2, what's the right fit for you? And the third part is your CFO will be asking you anytime you invest in any technology, what is the right ROI that you want to get out from it? So let's move on to see the first one. So what is actually the right experience that you need to deliver? There are 2 parties that actually you need to consider. A lot of time, we're very, very focused on the customer itself, which is not wrong because we need to be customer-centric. But buying a technology and delivering the right experience rely heavily on your internal users. So when you buy that technology product, please consult the people who are going to use it. Many times in my consulting life, a lot of time, the technology was bought through consensus of the IT department, but not of the marketing team. And in the end, it was very difficult to use, and therefore it became a very difficult task for them to produce the right experience for the customer. So balance both the customer and also the internal users. So take for example, that was about 2 weeks ago. I was having dinner with my family, and then my wife say, hey, you take care of the kids, they haven't finished their food. I'm going to go shopping. I was like, oh dear. Oh no, she's going to go shopping again. So I was like, okay, sure, no problem. So after dinner, I brought the 2 kids, and then, I went to look for her. And I found her without a shopping bag. I was like, wow, you didn't buy anything today? No. She said, I bought my pair of shoes. I said, where's the pair of shoes? Well, she said, I went to this branch, and then they say they do not actually have my size. What they did was they called out another branch, and the other branch say, hey, we actually have the size. In fact, without even calling up the other branch, what the branch did was they just checked the availability and say, okay, there's this stock available. And what they did was they actually key in, put in my address, and you know what? I'm going to have the shoe delivered to me tomorrow. I was like, wow, that's really a good experience. Number one, you don't need to bring your shoes around and you can go and buy more things. Two, actually, it's totally seamless. And I talk daily about it and say, behind this very nice experience is actually a network of technology that allows this. For example, number one, a POS system that allows you to check inventory across different branches. Two, to be able to set in the customer information like an e-commerce portal to be able to immediately buy and book that stock from the other branch and to be able to have it delivered to the customer the next day, which means a logistic company, instead of picking up from the warehouse, have to go to branch B to collect the shoes and then send it to the customer. So it's like, wow, that's really good. So good customer experience is really the start where you should look into a technology. And let me give you an example. In this slide that you're going to see a customer journey map. And this is something that we do for most of our customers. What we do is that we actually start off with the life stage, the types of interaction points and touch points, including sales agent. Like, I mean, this case is for insurance. Your insurance agent is a very, very important, part of the entire user journey. So whether it is a B2B to C, so you go through your agent, or you do B2C, you advertise to the customer itself and get them to talk to your agent, that's B2C to B. There's many things that's involved. And then you have to take note of the communications channels that is there. What you do next is to look into the data points. What kind of data points do you actually collect? And that is when you need to then formalize what kind of technology you need to look into. Of course, this whole process seems to be quite simple, but that's really interesting as a starting point for you to define the right technology for your customer. The next part would be, what would be the ideal operation experience? And that is really looking through how do you actually look into what are the use or the needs of your internal user. For example, in this case, on the left side, you have the digital team who actually say they have been dealing with this technology. They really don't like the interface. They can't actually get things done. What you do is to tell them that, hey, can you just write me 2 statements? What I want to do so that I can do something. So for example, I like to share the latest propensity to buy from data science so that I can send it to the agency so that they can improve the conversion rate of the customer with tailored messaging. Now with this very clear use case, you can then set off to look for the right technology for it. The second part is, if you're a sales agent, whether you're a property agent, whether you are an insurance agent, they actually like to know what my prospect has been browsing on the main website. So for example, if they're browsing for a certain property, a certain type of insurance, if that information flow real time to the agent should be able to WhatsApp or find another more personalized way to actually tailor the sales pitch and also to communicate to the customer. So balancing both customer and also your internal stakeholders is very, very important. Now, let's talk about the next part, which is actually the bulk of this presentation, the right fit. The right fit has always been the toughest question. Anytime you look into embarking into getting a new technology in to improve any of your experience across multiple channels, it's always a tough one. There's a few things to look out for. One, you look at what existing technology you have. Two, you need to look at what kind of customer maturity or experience that they desire. Three, you need to look into the capabilities within your own team. Now, how do we actually do it? There's almost a method to the madness. Let me start with it. So first, if you look into the market, there's actually 9,932 products for you to choose from. And it's getting more across the year. I mean, it's really not easy. And then they are actually quite confusing if you just start out afresh today. Now, if I'm to map all of them together, they are actually more like a Venn diagram with so much overlap. So in the market, you have things like CRM, you have analytics, you have a CDP, customer data platform, you have new platforms that call themselves customer engagement platform, you have chat, you have attribution, you have MMP, which could mean mobile measurement platform. It could also mean mobile messaging platform. So with so many tools in the market, how do you decomposite this Venn diagram and choose the right one for yourself? So that brings me to the next slide. By looking at the jobs to be done as a marketer, how do we actually decomposite all this technology to become just features, just jobs to be done features And then from there, we can actually then choose what is actually the right way to choose the platform. Let me give you an example. So, for example, your first job as any marketer or any business owner is to get your channels and your touch point correctly. So for example, the first level is your communication channel, where you send out messages or reach out, whether it's paid media, SMS, all the way to email. The second thing that you need to do is to look into all the other touch points, your physical touch points like your store, your marketplaces, your customer services, your e-store, your mobile app, and actually your agent itself, which is then themselves a touch point. The next part that you should look out for is from these touch points and communication channel, how do you capture the right data? From everything from visual analytics, like understanding how people are browsing your website, to the standard web analytics, mobile analytics, and even down to how do you actually update the information from the customer by the agents and be able to lead score them who's a hot prospect versus another person. Which brings me to the next point actually. So how do you actually manage all of those with your internal workflow, your digital assets, your inventory synchronization, like in the case of the shoe, buying the shoe, and managing content on your website? And even sometimes managing content would mean that you have to manage both the website, maybe a display board in the shopping mall, and at other places. So that's the right workflow that is really needed. Now, let's take a look at the next part. How do you actually make the right decision and orchestrate right? How do you do the right business intelligence, the segmentation, single customer view? I'll go into very good details later on, so just wait for it. The next part is how do you convert better, engage better through personalization, content recommendation, or conversion engagement? And the last part on everyone's mind, as of course as a data company, is to be able to do the graphing properly, to be able to do machine learning, to share the data to other BUs and data enrichment. Now, with all this, take out all the parts of any platform and put it in. How do we actually then now look into how do we choose the platform? Let's decomposite some of the very popular ones in the market. So let's start easy. Yep. So the first one will be MailChimp. I think most of us would know MailChimp because MailChimp is an email sending platform that's been around, that's quite reliable. It's not the most fancy tool. It doesn't have the most feature. But if you look into the box that is actually highlighted in actually dark green on the top right corner, it's actually started as an email platform. The dark green connotes that this is a core origin feature. Now, out of the box, the items that is in light green would say that what are the out-of-the-box features? So you have email that have events tracking. It can do basic segmentation. It can orchestrate some level of workflow. So, for example, send this email, followed by this email within 2 days, and then followed by a third email. Now, beyond that, if you want to send SMS or send a segment to paid media, that's also possible. If you want to run the survey, you can connect MailChimp to SurveyMonkey through an out-of-the-box connector. So the yellow portion is really plugins and extension that you could do with this same platform. So why is this important? This is important because the less platform you deal with to a certain level is actually very useful for operation. It cuts down a lot of time logging in, setting up stuff, and then trying to transfer data between platforms. So this is a simple use case. Let's take a look at the other popular item in the market. That's Google Analytics. Google Analytics is basically web analytics. And in fact, they have just upgraded to Google Analytics 4. Oh, just a public announcement. If you actually have not transited or added a new property Google Analytics 4, Universal Analytics, the current version, is going to sunset in June 2023. You might want to start doing that and then capture data for 1 year, which will make the transition quite well. If you need help, ADA can help. Now, even in this latest version of Google Analytics, from a web analytics, they are now moving to also include mobile analytics. They have made everything actually as an events tracking. So with that, you can actually do a lot more with that. You can even pass the data to a data warehouse called BigQuery under Google, which is the big little cylinder at the bottom. And then you can actually apply machine learning through actually Google Stack. Now, on the top left-hand corner, you can, of course, send it to the Google paid media and everything else. So that's Google Analytics, decompose it for you. Let's take a look at the next one. So Branch is actually a mobile measurement platform. Its sole purpose is to actually attribute. So we are looking at a very niche solution for people like, for example, they are app owners or the app is their first line of business. So for example, they are e-wallet, they are a company that is like ride-hailing like Grab or Gojek. So this is very important where as you start to differentiate all of them, you know what are the key features and what are the ones that are not. So same, but different. We are technically looking at a lot of technology in the market that is actually same, but different. Let's go into the next one and let's take a look a little bit more on how we decompose it. So if you look into a platform like HubSpot, it originated as an account-based management, or rather a CRM system that's similar to Salesforce. It allows sales agent to actually communicate with customer using emails and everything else. But nowadays, if you look into the platform, it can actually allow you to do segmentation. It has a very nice single customer view that allows you to actually push out information to paid media. Now, looking at that, they can also now connect to everything from SMS to Line and WhatsApp through actually connection. Now, this changes the game altogether, because as you level up your team maturity, you also look into a platform that's better. Let's take a look at the next one. So on the other end, for a platform like CleverTap, they are very, very focused on app retention and engagement. And that is where a platform like CleverTap actually focuses a lot more push notification. Can they send email? Yes, natively they could. Can they connect to WhatsApp and Line? Yes, they could as an extension. Now, as you look through different platforms, they are same but different. Your core business actually is a very important part in choosing the technology. Can I use CleverTap for insurance agent? Possible, but maybe might not have the full potential. But you can actually work around with all the different potential components of a marketing technology to actually bring it forward. The next part is a CDP, like customer data platform that's like treasure data. You can see that a lot of the technology resides on the bottom part, which is heavy lifting in terms of tracking, in terms of building the single customer view, orchestration, and machine learning. On top, where all the channels are, those are actually through extension and plugin. So you technically can get a treasure data plugin to actually a MailChimp. Now, let's take a look at what's important now. So many technology, how are you able to choose, especially when the amount is actually can be very cheap as a subscription model from a monthly basis all the way to maybe a couple of $100,000 for you to invest. The most important question to ask next is, how does it work? How does it work? Does it work well for my people? So if I'm to bring you to the next slide, I'm going to focus on 4 of the key areas. Business intelligence for you to make data decisioning better. 2, segmentation, how do you segment well? 3, what's a single customer view going to look like? Because that's really the holy grail of what a lot of marketers want. The last part is orchestration and automation. Let's take a look at business intelligence. Now, here I have 4 dashboards. So the first left side dashboard is actually by HubSpot. They are very focused on lead generation and actually creating leads. Actually, based on how you interact with the website, I can score you to be a more prospective lead for B2B, or I can make you a least prospective lead because you're not reading a certain type of article. But you're reading certain type of content actually and score you and resegment you. Now with this dashboard, I can actually apply not only from B2B, but I also can apply it from B2C. Now the next part on the top right hand corner here, you have CleverTap, which is actually focused very much on the funnel. So you could be creating custom funnel out of the box with analytics that is built into CleverTap. So as you walk through each platform, you think about what is out of the box platform or dashboard that I can use immediately for my team and how customizable it is. Because you want to spend more time not customizing and fixing the platform, but spending time doing the real work and doing the data decisioning and impacting the top line of the business. Now the bottom left here, you also have cohort analysis. And on the right side, a platform like Digital CRM, they actually allow you to plug into Magento and Shopify, and they have retail dashboard, which is very important for you when it comes to actually looking into e-commerce data. So out of the box, even in the business intelligence level, all of them has actually different features, and that's one of the consideration point. The next slide is a single customer view. There are 2 types generally. Account-based type, which is actually something like HubSpot, where an agent at the end level can actually do the changes and update the information that they have interacted with the customer. Property agent, insurance agent, even customer service can use this very well. On the right side is where you look into segmented marketing approach, which is a lot more into products like CleverTap, which allows you to actually do that view to just check through to understand the profile. You can't really edit it because it's actually not meant to be edited. So there are 2 types of single customer view. It depends on your business. The next part is segmentation. I would say that there are 3 types of segmentation to look at. The first type is actually a rule-based segmentation, which is actually if you put people who like this, who did this and did not do this, create a segment for them. That's very business rule driven. The second one would be on the top right corner, right? Google Analytics 4 provides, basically you put in all your data, they actually start to predict who are the likely 7 days purchasers, who are the likely 7 days churner that is going to happen. So that's something that's done in Google Analytics 4. On the bottom right is the famous Rfm Analysis that a lot of marketer uses. We used to, I remember 10 years ago, I used to do this where you have to do through the Excel sheet or you have to do statistics or to run through a SAS system to be able to understand what an RFM segment. Nowadays, it's visually in front of you. There are 9 segments. You right-click onto, let's say, champions, or right-click onto hibernating. Use that segment and then immediately activate a campaign, which is very useful and easy. Whatever we used to do maybe in 2 weeks is now compressed into 2 minutes. So those are important features when you look out, when you choose a technology. How do you utilize it further? You actually look into, number one, workflow. There are different types of workflow or journey orchestration. So you have anything from the left side, you have a workflow that is from HubSpot, in the center from CleverTap, where you drag and drop, and then you can actually determine what's the trigger, what's the event where you start to shift the customer out of the segment. And then the last one would be maybe, this is the one from Dot Digital. They also have a journey planner. So make sure that you have a journey planner that actually meet your need, and the journey planner actually have the endpoint that triggers to the channel that you want. So this is going to be quite important, right? So what's the right fit and actually the right mix? So we take a look at the next part. So imagine that you are a food delivery company and you are actually basically key engagement. Everything is actually on the app itself. So how do you actually centralize operation to one platform? So a possible solution would be maybe using CleverTap as actually the core engagement platform. We actually be able to touch all the areas. So imagine the core platform that we're using should be able to cover all the areas in green. The second part is that if I'm to make sure that I want to have the mobile measurement done properly, I'm able to deep link from an ad all the way to a feature within the app itself, and to prevent ad fraud, that is branch, that you have a mobile measurement platform. The next part is that I could technically take all the data, feed it into a very safe storage, which is actually Google BigQuery, and then that is where I can pass the data to another unit to use, or I can use even a very advanced platform like DataRobot to be able to drive that capability in terms of data science. So the entire ecosystem could be this. Of course, this is not exhaustive. You can use a lot more platforms to put it together. Now, the second part will be, if you're a property group, you could actually even choose to have 2 marketing automation or CRM platform. You could have HubSpot, mainly for your agents to be able to deliver the experience, to keep track and update the information. You can have CleverTap to be able to power the residents app. For example, if they want to book a barbecue pit, they want to actually do something else with the facility to report a fault, that could be something be using a CleverTap for push notification. Now, with data coming in from multiple areas, you might want to consider a customer data platform that allows you to do integration of all your data together. So that also allows you to share data from whatever interaction you have with other business unit, maybe like finance or even corporate, for example, corporate leasing. And you could do some level of machine learning with it. Now, internally, some people have a preference. I say, well, I do not want to use some of the dashboard that's already available. I like to use it on Power BI, for example. And it could be done on Power BI, so that could be all exported. But the last one will be a D2C commerce kind of client, whether you're Shopify or Magento. You can do something like Dot Digital. You could use, most importantly, something like an order management system like Deep Links to actually join all your inventory together, like a POS to a marketplace. And you could be using Google Analytics or Google Analytics 4, and then you could use Entavo as a plugin loyalty program. So all in all, how do we actually look into how we evolve it? There are actually stages of maturity. So I think within ADA, we use that as a benchmark, and then when we consult with clients, actually we told them and we benchmark where they are at. What's their roadmap looking like? Do they want to do it as a trial and a pilot where they actually increase their cost as their sales grow, or they are willing to invest something big upfront and then go for a longer run? So there are things that we do in terms of maturity curve. Yep. How do you utilize the technology better? There are 3 areas that we look into it: utilization and usability, compatibility and connectivity, and capacity and capability. Let me take a quick look into it. This is one of my favorite charts. A lot of time, what you see in the market is on the right side. A lot of clients invested in heavy-duty marketing technology that is actually not used to its full potential. You go in and check the features. We check the team. Some of the features are actually outdated. Some of the legacy system does not allow them to upgrade according to time. So there was this client that we saved 180,000 for just by auditing their site and telling them that, hey, you need to just remove this and you can take the money and use it somewhere else. On the left side, you see a client that actually have maximized the feature, something like a MailChimp. I went to a client that actually used all the features of MailChimp. Their users are really savvy. They didn't need more training. They needed a better product. So we upgraded them from MailChimp to HubSpot. So the second part is compatibility and connectivity. Based on our current stack, whatever technology you're bringing in, on the left side, if out of the box they have a plugin and connector, they'll be the best. If not, are there able technology in the market that enable you to actually connect it better? So like Zapier, MuleSoft, and everything else. So these are good technology, and it have come to a maturity where we can actually connect well. Next part will be in-house versus outsource, and it's really whether it is, do you have the right talent down to the support model from the agency or partner. So what's the upkeep and how do we get the partner to level up to our maturity and knowledge? So that is very interesting. Those are consideration points because sometimes it's a one-off. Sometimes you really can't find talent. It might be better off to outsource within 3 months to 6 months and then bring that capability in-house again when you find the talent. What's the ROI? Is really the interesting part. I think at the tip of the iceberg, you look at revenue and the long-term saving. But the total cost of ownership sometimes really goes down to being locked into a partner, the time cost in manual process, coordination time with bad support, and even maintenance costs. And I could just illustrate with you for a chart like this. I have a client who's on the marketing cloud. They are integrated with an ERP that is actually tightly locked in by the vendor, and a lot of the processes are actually through Excel. How do we actually do this entire process? If we automate it well, we could actually save them a lot of money and prevent locked in and then being at the mercy of a vendor. So that's something that if you do it right, you're able to utilize the full potential and you're able to provide good ROI. So just a recap, have the right experience, the right fit, and the right ROI. And I hope that you'll find the right one. And if you really need to discuss a little bit more about this, we are happy to have a complimentary consultation session. You can QR code the link and then we can talk more. Yep. We're open now for questions.
I see for that fruitful sharing session. Just a reminder to anyone in the audience, if you have any questions for YC, please do post it in the chat box or in the comment section. We'll try and answer as many questions as we can. But YC, we do have a few questions for you if you're ready.
All right. I'm ready. It's so strange to have such a big head on the screen. Yeah. All right.
So more to focus on. It's okay. All right. Okay. So our first question is from Robbie. So Robbie asks, with marketing technology evolving so fast, what kind of contract length should we look at? 1 year, 2 years, 5 years? It's an interesting question. What do you think, YC?
Yep, I think that's a super valid question. I think looking at it, I mean, the technology is evolving at a speed of, I think, good changes within 12 to 18 months. So if you have the ability to do a 1 year contract or even a 1+1, it will be really, really good for you because you're looking to anticipate the next round of technology. But of course, sometimes they have a sort of preferential rate when you have a 30% off when you sign up for a second year. Then that's down to the assessment on how you look at the trajectory of this company. There are also other partners or technology platforms that allow you to have a 3-month subscription or POC before you go on to sign a 1 year or 2 year contract. So that could be an option on the table. So go for 1 to 2 years. I think that will be a very good one and observe the market. That's what I would say.
All right, thank you for that. That's actually very helpful. I think sometimes you want to subscribe, but you don't know exactly how long and where.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that, YC. We've got another question from Tasha. All right, so Tasha asks, what is the toughest part about implementing new market technology in an organization? Ooh.
Wow. Okay, so wow, this is really a tough one. Actually, it's happening all around. So I'll break it down in a few ways. Number one, is actually processes. A lot of time, people like to fall back to old processes, and they do not want to try new things. So there's a lot of seeding, a lot of change management involved, where we actually talk to the user, we showcase it, and get them to try it. So once they get used to it and say, hey, actually this is good, and within the team, you also look out for change catalysts, like people who actually will evangelize this new platform for you. So I think those are a slow change that we'll bring in. I think the second part that is toughest will be actually getting budget. I think that's something on everyone's mind. I think being able to bring it to your CFO and CEO, I think that's where we look into the ROI, the business case, what kind of time it can save for you, or even what things the competitors are using. So a lot of time, manual processes, you can save 40% of the time of 3 team members, they could actually be doing something that will drive more revenue for the company. And that is really justified for why you should get a new platform. So those are 2 of the areas that I will look out for. Do not chase technology because it's a shiny object, but find the right one as what I've shared across in this webinar itself. Yep.
Well, because sometimes you get so excited over new piece of technology.
I can't really hear you well. Yeah, but yeah, sorry if you could just repeat that. Yeah, so sorry.
You would grab onto it, but then you don't think about how it complements our goals and our organization. So that was this important information. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Can you hear me?
No, I'm sorry. So sorry about it. I should be there live with you. I'm so sorry about it, but I have to call in today. Yeah.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Singapore is a ways away, but I'm glad that you're here on our screen talking to us. So thank you so much. We don't have any more time for any more questions, unfortunately. So perhaps maybe after the event, we have a few more questions. Would you be open to answering them?
Yes, definitely. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And to those that have been inspired with this passionate sharing session, don't go anywhere as we will be right back.